Hey there, I'm Alexis and I'm from Pennsylvania. Now, if you think that's a made-up country, you're totally wrong because I'm the queen of it. Growing up, life was pretty strange. One time when I was 2 years old, I was at a grocery store with my parents when suddenly 5 men dressed like ninjas burst in and tried to grab me. Ah!
Get away from my daughter!
One of the ninjas grabbed me and started to run away with me in his arms. Mama, Papa?
No, Alexis!
I bit on the guy's hand and he dropped me.
Why, you little?
His next few words were snatched from his mouth as 2 bodyguards jumped in and knocked him out. More bodyguards arrived and dealt with the other ninjas. And before long, I was escorted away from the grocery store with the eyes of everyone on us. Someone in the crowd scoffed angrily.
I wonder who those people are.
His wife then said,
They must be movie stars or something.
When we got home, I asked my parents what had happened, and they told me not to worry too much about it. I was too young to really understand what was happening. That is, until I turned 15. My parents took me to the circus for my birthday, and it was in the middle of a trapeze act when something really weird happened. The trapeze artist did 3 flips in the air. Gasps erupted in the crowd as we watched the man move with awe. But then suddenly, mid-air, I saw him make eye contact with me. His eyes lit up as if he recognized me.
Queen Alexis!
With no warning, the man swung off the rope, soaring into the air before landing right in front of me. All the eyes in the crowd were on me. The man fell to his knees, his hand enclosed over his heart, and said,
I will forever be at your service, Queen Alexis.
Whispers spread through the crowd as everyone wondered why this 40-year-old man was bowing down to a 15-year-old girl. My dad stood up quickly.
Let's go, honey. I can't have you around these people.
Then we left the circus as soon as we could. That day, we moved from that town and started up somewhere new. When we arrived at our new house, my parents sat me down and told me the truth.
There's something you should know.
The more and more they talked, the more and more my mouth opened in shock.
You, Alexis, are queen of Pennsylvania.
Can't you what now?
Pennsylvania, it's a very small country in Europe.
But how? What?
I'm sorry we had to keep this a secret for so long, but we did it for your own safety. Pennsylvania is under siege now. It wasn't safe for us to live there anymore.
Your grandma was queen of Pennsylvania, but when you were born, she passed away and she left the crown to you. For now, it's too dangerous for you to return to Pennsylvania, so that's why we've decided to hide you away here. But that doesn't mean there aren't bad guys still after you.
But I don't want to be queen.
Honey, you have to. Your country depends on you.
No, I won't let you decide what I have to do. I won't be queen. But I want to live a normal life without bodyguards or royalty. Please, Mom, Dad?
Oh, I don't know.
At least stop with the bodyguards. No one will know I'm here. I'll keep a low profile. I just don't want to be followed by bodyguards for the rest of my life. I want privacy.
Oh, all right, dear. Fine, no bodyguards. But just stay safe, okay?
Of course. Thank you.
We love you.
I love you too. The next day, I started my first day at the new school. When I walked into the classroom, no one so much as looked at me. I felt so lonely. As I walked towards the back of the class, someone stuck their foot out and I fell face first onto the floor. Everyone started laughing. I turned to find this super attractive girl laughing at me evilly.
What are you looking at?
I wanted to fight back, but I shouldn't bring any attention to myself. I bit my lip and hobbled over to my seat at the back. I realized this year was gonna be miserable. Well, so I thought. Psst. I ignored the sound, thinking it wasn't directed at me. Hey, psst. I finally looked up. It was a boy sitting in the chair beside me.
Do you have a pen?
Oh, yeah. I rummaged in my bag and gave him one. He chuckled.
You like Barbie?
I was confused for a second. Then I realized I'd given him one of my old Barbie pens from ages ago.
Oh God, how embarrassing. Nah, it's cool, I dig it.
Thanks.
What's your name?
Alice. Even though my real name is Alexis, my parents and I agreed it would be best to use a fake name to hide my identity.
Thanks, Alice, I'm Luke.
It's nice to meet you, Luke.
Hey, you're new here, right?
Yeah.
A bunch of us are going to the bowling alley tonight to hang. Wanna come?
Sure. I stand corrected. Maybe this year wasn't gonna be as miserable as I thought. Later at the bowling alley, Luke helped me pick out an aisle and I threw the bowling ball down the lane. I haven't been bowling in so long, so unsurprisingly, the ball went straight into the gutter. Luke smiled sympathetically.
Aw, better luck next time.
I smiled. But suddenly, we heard this high shriek of laughter that sounded more like cats screeching.
Oh my God, that was pathetic.
I looked up. It was the girl who had tripped me before at school. She had blonde hair pulled back so tight, I was surprised it didn't fall out.
Seriously, who are you and why are you even here?
Oi, Trixie, leave Alice alone.
Ooh, Luke and Alice sitting in a tree. Kiss.
I lost it. Shut up, would ya? Trixie smiled evilly.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Your Highness.
My heart literally froze. What did you say?
Huh? What is up with you?
Why did you say Your Highness?
It's a saying, you idiot. Wow, you suck at bowling and you're an idiot. You have horrible taste in girlfriends, Luke.
Come on, Alice, let's get out of here.
Luke escorted me away. I was relieved. It seemed what Trixie said had just been a coincidence. No one was onto me. I could relax. Luke didn't seem to notice how weird I'd acted, and he actually asked me to hang out with him the next day too. We met at the park, and the first 3 hours were amazing. We laid on the grass, gazing at the clouds, had hot dogs, and skipped stones at the lake. It was perfect. Well, almost perfect. Until something crazy happened when we went to watch a game of soccer that a bunch of people were having on the field. Luke and I sat together, and I could feel his arm next to mine. Slowly, our hands started to reach towards each other when I heard a huge bam, and someone screamed, "Look out!" Too late, I glanced up to see a football shooting towards me. It was too late to move. I was gonna get hit when Luke suddenly punched the ball out of the way, saving my face with just seconds to spare. Luke, that was insane. Seriously, those reflexes were crazy.
Oh, the look on your face.
Trixie, what is your problem?
Oh, you two lovebirds make me sick. Why don't you gaze into each other's eyes somewhere else?
Trixie, seriously,
Luke, it's fine.
But Alice,
Luke, I tilted his head towards me and pressed my lips onto his. Everyone watching us gasped, and I heard Trixie squeal with rage.
I can't believe these two.
And walk off. I didn't care though. All I cared about was Luke, the perfect guy right in front of me. We kissed for a while, then said goodbye and promised to hang out again. We started dating officially, and weeks went by. On our 1-month anniversary, Luke took me to a candlelit dinner by the lake, and I decided it was time I told him my secret. Luke, I love you, and I have something to tell you.
What is it?
I'm a queen. Luke nearly choked on his orange juice.
What?
I explained everything to him. It was hard for him to process, but eventually he accepted the fact that I was the queen of an entire country in hiding. I was actually surprised that he believed me so readily. But I guess that's what made him an even more perfect boyfriend. The next evening, I invited Luke over to have dinner with my parents. When we arrived, I could tell my mom was really impressed.
What a charming, handsome young man.
My dad also really liked him and kept clapping him on the back, which was a sign that he approved of Luke.
Oh, we're definitely going to have to keep this one around.
I was so happy. But then something weird happened.
Oh, Andrew,
Luke said.
I couldn't agree more. And you too, Julie. You're absolutely right.
I froze. How did Luke know my parents' names? As far as I could tell, they'd never told him their names. I definitely hadn't told him their names, so how did Luke know? I decided to brush the thought away and didn't think much more of it. The next day, I was in Luke's room. We were watching a movie, and then Luke went up to the bathroom. I paused the movie to wait for him, but I must have accidentally clicked something else because suddenly a file showed up on his laptop. I started reading and realized it was a file on me. It listed everything from what I had done that day to what I had eaten for breakfast. It was so creepy. Why did Luke have this? Was he following me? Oh God, was Luke a stalker? Luke returned and froze.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? What are you doing? Why do you have all these files on me? Luke, you have to explain what's going on.
I can't, Alice. There's a reason for this, I promise, but I can't tell you what it is. You gotta just trust me on this.
Are you kidding me? No. You either tell me or we're through.
Alice.
Luke stood there motionless. I couldn't believe it. Goodbye, Luke.
Alice, wait.
I bolted from his room and ran all the way home. I didn't speak to Luke for the next couple of days. My parents knew nothing about our breakup, so they couldn't understand why I was so sad. I could hear them downstairs.
What's gotten into our daughter?
I'm not sure, but do you think this can be too dangerous to have her here? Should I ship her out to a different country?
Days led on to weeks, and I couldn't take it anymore. I had to see Luke. Maybe we could work this out, have a talk and get through it. I walked over to his house after school and looked into his window. But what I saw shattered my heart into a million tiny pieces. Luke and Trixie were together in his room, and Trixie was hugging him.
Oh, Trixie, thanks for coming over. I really needed someone to be here with me.
Don't worry, Luke. I would never pass on a moment like this. So now Luke was a creep and he was cheating on me. And with Trixie? Seriously? I was frozen. I couldn't move my feet. It felt like they were glued to the ground. Luke and Trixie broke apart. Then Luke spotted me through the window.
Alice, wait!
Hot tears trickled down my face. I spun around and started running. I didn't know where I was going. Suddenly, dark, brooding clouds rolled across the sky and down the rain came heavily. I rushed to a bridge and hid underneath to escape the rain. It was cold and wet and I was shivering uncontrollably. Could life get any worse? Turns out it could. Suddenly, out of the shadows, appearing like ghosts, at least 10 people dressed in black appeared. I suddenly recognized their outfits from the time when I was 2, when ninjas had appeared at the grocery store. Oh no, they'd found me. I was ready to accept defeat when out of nowhere Trixie appeared. Trixie?
Don't worry, Your Highness. I'll protect you.
Then, like some kind of karate kid, Trixie started to fight off the ninjas. She hit them one by one, pulling roundhouse kicks mid-air, karate chopping them until they were all unconscious. I was flabbergasted. Trixie had just beaten 10 ninjas all by herself. What was going on? Suddenly, Luke arrived.
Alexis! Oh, thank God, you're okay!
He hugged me tight, but I shoved him away. He had called me Alexis. How did he know my real name? You, explain. Luke looked sad.
Okay, the truth. The truth is, your parents hired me as your bodyguard.
I couldn't believe this. So, us? Our love, it's all a lie?
No, that's the thing. Well, at first, I was hired to date you and protect you at the same time.
I can't believe.
But then, once I got to know you, I realized how kind and funny and smart you are. I fell in love with you. For real.
Luke, I don't know.
Oh, please, Queen Alexis.
Trixie approached us, her hands bloody.
Luke is head over heels for you.
But in your room, you two...
Us? Luke chuckled. Trust me, Trixie and I are not a thing.
Hey, not so fast, Luke. I have feelings for you too, but I'm willing to step down. Anything for our queen.
Trixie!
So, you're my bodyguard too?
Yep. I can't believe this.
My parents are such liars.
So, Alexis, Alice, whoever, I don't care. Will you forgive me?
Oh, Luke, I can never say no to you. I kissed him, and it felt like I was the queen of the world.
I came from a pretty decent family. Dad was the stay-at-home parent, while Mom worked as an accountant at the local bank. I had a sister, Mia, who was just a year older than me, and I loved playing with her.
All clear, Madam President. You can now make your vows. Thank you, Miss Mia. I pledge to be the best president this school has ever had. Thank you for voting for me.
My childhood dream was to become the school's president in high school, and Mia always supported me. But all of that changed when Mia had to repeat first grade because she wasn't school smart, and Mom wasn't too happy about that. One time, in 4th grade, after showing my grades to Mom and Dad showered me with praises. But when Mom saw Mia's report card, her smile vanished.
I'm sure you're proud of me.
You're happy you had C's? That's pathetic, Mia.
But I worked so hard, Mom. I even cheated on some of my tests so I could score better.
You're a disgrace, Mia. Why can't you be like your little sister Zoe? I give both of you the same amount of food, so why aren't you smart? Mom wouldn't stop talking, and it made Mia cry. I tried to console Mia, but she just pushed my hands off her body and ran off. Later that evening, I went to Mia's room with some toys Mom had just bought for me.
Hi, Mia. Would you like to play with some of my Barbie dolls?
But instead of replying, Mia shot me the deadliest look.
Okay, we can play Miss President or anything you want. How about we play Don't Talk to Me Ever Again? Huh? How about that?
Just like that, Mia pushed me out of her room and things were never the same between us again. Hey guys, my name's Zoe, and this is my story. As time passed, I got used to the new Mia and totally ignored her mean behaviors. One day, in 4th grade, I was awarded 3 different trophies for being the best student at school, and Mom was so proud of me. After my award, I couldn't wait to get home to tell Dad all about it. But just as we stepped inside, we walked in on Dad holding hands with our family maid. I was too shocked to speak, and before Dad could say anything, Mom blurted out angrily, "You ungrateful creature! Get out of my house this minute!" I watched with teary eyes as our perfect little family crumbled right before me.
Mia, go get your things too.
Wait, what? Not Mia too?
Although Mia was a pain in my butt, I still loved her. I tried to beg Mia to stay, but she just couldn't get out fast enough.
Finally! Please don't go, Mia! Mom, please tell Mia to stay!
But Mom, on the other hand, couldn't wait to get Mia off her back, so she did nothing, and it got me super angry. I ran to my room and cried heavily because I knew it was the last time I'd see Mia.
Zoe, please open up. I already lost Mia and your father. I can't lose you too. Please, Zoe.
But I was still mad at Mom because she let Mia go without even putting up a fight. After school the next day, I bought an ice cream and raced over to the skating rink where Mia loved to practice, waiting for her to show up so we could eat together, except she didn't show up. When I got back home, I saw Mom hanging up a call in tears, and my anger towards her immediately disappeared.
Mom, what's the problem?
I just got off the phone with my bank. They said Dad wiped all the money in my account. All my savings are gone, Zoe.
Seeing Mom cry made me emotional, so I forgave her and hugged her tightly.
Everything will be fine, Mom.
Mom and I had to come up with a plan to earn back everything that Dad took. So we started baking and put up a stand for customers to come by. And in no time, we were back on our feet. Things were looking really good for us at home and for me at school. One day, while I was reading in the library, I was suddenly called to the principal's office through the intercom, and everyone looked at me. When I got there, I met the principal smiling widely at me.
Congratulations, Zoe.
Thank you?
I just got off a call with some lawmakers of this school, and I'm glad to announce you've been chosen to be the school's president for this year.
What? That's so random.
You're the best student in this school, so you deserve this.
I was too shocked to come up with words to say. My childhood dream was finally a reality. I only wished Mia was still with me to celebrate the good news. Several months later, I was at the mall one day, restocking items for Mom's business. Then I noticed a girl trying to steal from an old woman. So I coughed out loud to stop her operations. When I moved closer, I was shocked to see the blonde girl was Mia. She looked thinner than a Victoria's Secret model and had dyed her hair blonde. When Mia recognized me, she tried running off, but I held her back. Mia? Oh, Zoe, what are you doing here? Shopping for Mom. What are you doing here? Why were you about to steal from that old woman?
That's none of your business, Miss Goody Goody.
Typical Mia. I was about to tell her how much I'd missed her when an angry-looking boy appeared from nowhere. Hey, babe. I looked at them shocked when my little sister called the shady guy babe.
Hey, babe. You sound so dumb. I gave you only one job. Steal the purse and leave. Instead, you're out here making friends with whoever this person is.
Please forgive me, Kareem. This is my little sister, Zoe. She stays with my mom, and I haven't seen her in a long while. I could tell Mia was intimidated by Kareem, and this weird vibe he gave off made me dislike him instantly. Zoe, meet my boyfriend, Kareem. I gave him my not pleased look, and then Mia immediately took his hand to walk away. Okay, bye now. Mia, wait! I pulled her aside and gave her my phone to always communicate. Here, take this. Call me on Mom's number. Promise me you'll call? Yeah, I have to go now. As we hugged tightly, I heard Kareem's annoying voice.
Time up, Mia. We need to bounce.
I watched as Mia ran off into thin air with Kareem, and all I could do was hope she'd call me. When I got home, I told Mom I saw Mia at the mall, and for the first time in a long while, Mom's face brightened with a smile.
Did you talk to her? Did she tell you where they live now?
I don't know where they live, but I gave her my phone to always communicate. Mom just flashed a weird grin and left. Later that night, I talked to Mia through Mom's phone, and while she didn't seem as excited as I was happy that things might just work out for us again. But the next morning, I woke up to see Mia staring at me with eyes red like hot lava. Mia? How? Wait, am I still dreaming? Oh, please! Stop pretending like you don't know what you've done. You gave me your phone yesterday so you could easily track Dad and I down. Well, congrats, genius. Mom came in early this morning with the cops, and they took Dad away. And now I'm stuck here with both of you. I didn't know Mom was gonna do that, I swear. Also, Dad deserved what came his way because he stole all the money in Mom's account, and that's unfair. I wish I never saw you yesterday. You ruined my life every single time. Ah! Just like that, Mia stormed out angrily. In the coming days, I noticed Mia changed completely and now blamed me for anything awful that happened to her. But things moved from worse to crazy when Mom enrolled Mia into my school. For starters, when Mia heard I was now the school's president, she joined forces with some mean girls to disturb the school's peace just to get back at me. One day, a junior reported that Mia tried to stick bubblegum on her desk for no reason. I summoned Mia to my office, and as usual, she blamed me for everything. Well, I wouldn't be in your life if you didn't ruin mine in the first place. If you don't stop being mean, I'll be forced to use my office on you.
Oh, Miss President, I'm so scared of you.
Do whatever you want. I don't care. I tried bringing out the good in Mia, but it was as if she'd exchanged her heart for a big rock. I had a few months left to spend in high school, and I was preparing for my exams, when suddenly I heard people screaming outside the house. I rushed to where the noise was coming from, only to see Mia arguing with a customer in front of our lemonade stand. Mia, what happened?
This psycho here spat into my lemonade because I told her I wanted more.
Mia, why would you do that? Because Mom took Dad away from me, and now I want to take Mom's business away from her. I was so tired of keeping up with Mia's attitude that I blurted out angrily. I love Dad the same way you did, and it breaks my heart to learn he's gone. But Dad isn't the good guy here. Dad stole from us for whatever reason. You started picking pockets because Dad never influenced you right. Mom may be hard on you, but at least she doesn't make you do bad things to survive. You're such a jerk, Mia! And with that, I stormed out of there, boiling with rage. When Mom returned from work that evening, I told her all Mia had done, and Mom lost her temper.
I've done everything I could for you. I clothe you, feed you, I even saved you from that evil man that's supposed to be your father. But this is how you pay me? With more problems?
Oh, please, Mom. It's not like I asked to be in your life again. You came to pick me up after you called the cops on Dad. Remember? You know what? I'm done living with both of you. I'm going to stay with the love of my life. Don't look for me.
That night, Mia packed everything she had and left the house. I was too angry to beg her to stay because she'd done enough damage in just the few months she stayed with us. When I got to school the next day, I noticed the school's trophy cabinet was as empty as space. I thought the cleaners had taken all the trophies out for cleaning, but when I got to my office, I met the principal, already waiting for me at my desk, fuming like a car exhaust pipe. My heart beat 100 times in a second as he started speaking.
I noticed all the golden trophies awarded to this school have gone missing, and you are the only one with the key to the trophy cabinet. But I don't believe you're the thief. I think someone else stole the trophies, which is why I would respectfully take this from you and relieve you of your duties as this school's president. I'm sorry, Zoe.
After speaking, the principal ripped the president tag off me. I felt my heart break into a million pieces like a fragile egg.
Please, pack up your stuff and submit the key at this office by the end of today.
With a heavy heart, I did as the principal had instructed. Unfortunately, news that I was no longer the school's president spread like wildfire, and everyone pitied me and started treating me different.
Aw, Zoe, I'm so sorry things turned out this way for you. Well, I made this for you. I hope you like it.
Thank you, but I'm good. Mom didn't act any different from my schoolmates either. She lavished me with gifts, hoping they'd make me feel better. In less than 3 weeks, I got over my loss and studied hard for my final exams. As expected, I aced all my papers and was the valedictorian for my class. A day before my graduation, I was trying to come up with the best speech when Mom walked into my room. I know you're busy, but I wanted to give you this one gift that I've been keeping for almost 17 years now. My eyes brightened as Mom showed me 2 tiny wrapped boxes, and all I could do was wonder what was inside those boxes. It's a gift from your dad. I mean, your real dad. Suddenly, my heartbeat slowed and I couldn't wrap my head around what Mom meant by real dad. This was supposed to be for you, and this for Mia. I was instructed to give the box to you a day before your graduation. Mom handed over the dusty, tiny box to me, and when I opened it, I saw a beautiful locket necklace with a little baby and a man's picture in it. Who are these people? That's your real dad. We lost him when you were just 2 months old. So, who is the man that stole from us? Oh, I met him a while after we lost your dad. I was scared of raising 2 girls alone, so I moved on and remarried. He was a good guy. I really didn't think he would betray me. Why didn't you tell me about this? And you just left Mia to go with him, even though he was not her real father? You were both little girls, and you knew nothing. I hid all your real dad photos because I thought I was protecting you from the pains of losing someone. And you're right, I was so stupid to have let go like that. I was just so angry at that time. I'm so sorry. It's fine, Mom. We just need to find Mia and tell her the truth. After that, I wore my necklace and sat up all night crafting the perfect speech. When it was time for me to deliver, I was called on stage. But just then, something unexpected happened. I saw Mia approaching me from the backstage and I froze. I was shocked, happy and confused all at the same time. I expected her to hug me and explain all that had happened to her, but instead, she reached out for the microphone and started speaking.
I just want to say something. I'm sorry, Zoe. I was the one that took your keys, and I helped Kareem steal all the trophies from the school. But now, Kareem dumped me and sent me packing, and not a single day has passed without me hating myself and feeling guilty for ruining your life. Please forgive me, little sis.
I had so many questions to ask Mia, but I bottled them up and helped her to her feet, and just then, the school's principal joined us on stage.
With Mia's help, we've been able to retrieve all the stolen items and arrest those involved. But because of Mia's confession, we've decided to let her off with a fine.
After the principal spoke, I gave my speech with Mia by my side. Then, I took Mia to where Mom was seated, and there was an awkward silence until Mia spoke.
Mom, I'm so... Shh. I wasn't the best mom to you, and I'm sorry about everything, Mia.
I missed you so much.
I miss you too.
Mom opened her arms wider, and I joined in the warm hug.
Incoming! Female, early 40s, motor vehicle accident.
Carrie, the head nurse, shouted from her station. "I'll take her," I said as I walked towards the emergency entrance where I knew the ambulance would arrive any minute. My shift at Woodvale Grove Hospital had just started, and she was going to be my first patient for the day.
Good morning, Dr. Hernandez. Surprised to see you here this early.
Diane, my colleague, said as she joined me. "What is that supposed to mean?"
Isn't your rich dad friends with Mr. Broth, the hospital director? I heard he's the reason you got the job. You don't have to work hard like the rest of us.
Clearly, Diane wasn't my biggest fan. "Come on, Diane, if you keep harassing me like this, I'll start to think that you like me. You know all you have to do is ask me out for dinner." I winked at her and her cheeks turned pink. The wailing sound of an ambulance siren got her attention. A few seconds later, the ambulance doors opened and out came 2 paramedics and my patient. "Ma'am, can you hear me? What's your name?" I asked her after the paramedics briefed me on her condition.
I don't know. I don't know what my name is.
She looked terrified.
Looks like she's experiencing some memory loss. She can't remember her name or where she was going before she got into the accident. We didn't find her purse, so we've named her Jane Doe.
One of the paramedics explained. As Diane and I attended to the patient, neither of us knew that our lives were about to change forever. Before I continue with my story, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, to be the first to know when more cool videos are added, hit that notification bell. "Good morning, Jane. How are you?" "Diane, what are you doing in here?" A few weeks had passed since Jane Doe was brought into the hospital. Although she was fully recovered from her injuries, she still hadn't regained her memory.
Well, hello to you too. I was just keeping Jane company. Wouldn't it be funny if I regained my memory and we found out that my name was actually Jane?
We all laughed.
Do you have any good news for me?
Actually, I do, but I've got some bad news too. Diane, if you'd excuse us, I'd like to talk to Jane alone.
Whatever you have to say. Diane can hear it too.
Diane crossed her arms across her chest as if to challenge me to say anything else. God, she was annoying. I shook my head and continued. "The good news is you've healed from your injuries. The bad news is that means we have to discharge you."
But she still hasn't regained her memory. Where will she go?
It was clear that Diane had taken a liking to Jane.
"I've made arrangements to transfer her to a nursing home nearby."
Mr. Broth, the hospital director, said as he joined us.
But she'll be there all alone.
"We've done all we can for her. Someone else needs this room. Jarvis, I want her discharged immediately."
I found that a little harsh to say, especially in front of Jane. I also found it strange that Mr. Broth was eager to get rid of Jane, but I didn't dare challenge him. He was the director of the whole hospital. Do you know what that means? He was my boss's boss's boss. "Right away, sir." I gave Jane an apologetic look, but there was nothing more I could do for her. "Where are you rushing off to? A hot date?" I teased Diane. Our shift just ended and she looked like she couldn't wait to get out of there.
I'm going to the nursing home to visit Jane. By the way, I knew you were cold-hearted, but you've not visited her even once.
"I'm not cold-hearted."
Prove it.
Diane smiled. As far as evil smiles went, hers was pretty good. "Prove that I'm not cold-hearted? Fine, I'll adopt a puppy. Happy?"
As much as I'd like to see that, I meant you should come visit Jane with me.
She probably doesn't even remember me.
Actually, she does. She even asked if you and I are dating.
Violent coughing behind us startled us both. Mr. Broth was hunched over, coffee spilling all over his shirt.
Mr. Broth, are you all right?
Diane asked as she handed him some paper towels.
"I'm all right, thanks. The coffee went down the wrong way."
Mr. Broth had been acting strange the past few weeks. He always seemed to be around the corner when Diane and I were together. If I wasn't mistaken, he'd just been eavesdropping on our conversation just then. Weird, right? When Diane and I arrived at the nursing home, we found some kind of heated exchange going on at the reception. When we got closer, I realized that it was between Jane and a uniformed lady. What's going on here? Jane turned around fast when she heard my voice. She ran straight into Diane's arms.
Please help me. They're kicking me out.
What? Why would you do that? I addressed the uniformed lady.
Her bill has not been paid for weeks.
That had been a mistake. Mr. Broth assured me that the hospital was taking care of Jane's bill. I demanded to see their records and was shocked to see that the lady was telling the truth. Jane's bill was unpaid for weeks. Why would Mr. Broth lie? I'll pay her bill, then I'm getting her out of here. I can't believe you were about to kick her out. I was going to have a very serious talk with Mr. Broth, but first Diane and I needed to get Jane settled into my house. After we moved Jane to my house, I went online and searched for PI services nearby. After almost 1 hour of searching, I settled on one and called them immediately.
Tom and Jerry Investigations. This is Jerry speaking. How may I help you?
I chuckled to myself as the man on the phone introduced himself. Hey, yeah, I'm calling to book an appointment. Early the next day, Jane and I sat in front of Jerry, the PI. He told us his partner Tom was out chasing a lead. Jane told him what happened to her and asked if he could try and find out who she was. He wrote down some notes and took a photo of Jane. We filled some papers, paid, and left. On our drive back to the house, I thought I saw a car following us, but a few turns later, the car disappeared. A few days later, I arrived at the hospital, and I heard Mr. Broth arguing with someone.
He's living with her, for goodness sake. I followed his car and saw him enter the PI's office. How could you let that happen? I thought I told you to get rid of her.
The voice sounded familiar.
Please calm down, Mr. Hernandez. My plan was going well until that nosy Diane took Jarvis with her to the nursing home.
Mr. Hernandez was my dad. Were they talking about Jane?
We need to get Rachel away from Jarvis before she regains her memory.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I rushed out of there and called Diane. I told her what I'd overheard, and she was just as shocked as I was. We agreed to meet at my house. Minutes later, I was stuck in traffic when Diane called me.
Jarvis, Jane is not here. I found your door unlocked. Should I call the police?
I thought about it for a second. Don't call them yet. I took a U-turn and drove back to the hospital. When I arrived, I went straight to Mr. Broth's office. I didn't even bother knocking. Where is she? Mr. Broth didn't even look up from his desk.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Jane, what did you do with her? What are you and my dad hiding? That got his attention, and he stood up fast.
Jarvis, you need to lower your voice.
Tell me where she is now. I overheard you and Dad earlier. Jane's name is Rachel? Mr. Broth sank to his seat and held his head between his hands. Start talking. And if something happens to her, I'll report you to the cops.
She's not in any danger. She's on her way to the airport.
What? Why? How could she just leave without telling me?
Please, sit down.
Mr. Broth handed me an old, dusty medical file. Whose medical file is this?
Open it.
The name on the file was Rachel Miller. Dad had referred to Jane as Rachel. Could this be her file? I don't understand.
Jane Doe is Rachel Miller. 23 years ago, she came to this hospital pregnant. Before I became the hospital director, I was the head obstetrician.
That means he used to help pregnant moms give birth to their babies. It says here that she gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, but they both died?
That's what I told her.
You lied to her? What did you do with her babies?
He sold them.
We were both startled by the sound of Rachel's voice. When did she even get there? Hey, Mr. Broth said that you left.
He lied. Your dad showed up at your house with a check for $5 million. He told me to take it and disappear. I took the check, and he asked his driver to drive me to the airport. After the driver dropped me at the airport, I took a cab and came straight here. Jarvis, I remember everything.
That's great news, but I don't understand why my dad is interested in getting rid of you.
Wait, where's Mr. Broth?
I looked around and was surprised to see that Mr. Broth was no longer in his chair. He must have slipped out when you and I were talking.
Jarvis, I need to tell you something.
Rachel had tears in her eyes. What's wrong?
The babies Mr. Broth sold, one of them was you. He sold you to Mr. Hernandez.
You're my mother? But Dad told me that they adopted me after my mother died at birth.
He lied to you. A few weeks ago, before she died, your mom, Mrs. Hernandez, hired a PI to look for me. She gave the PI a letter confessing to everything she, Mr. Broth, and Mr. Hernandez did. That's what I was coming to tell you when I got into the accident.
Have you ever gotten news so shocking you thought your head was going to explode? Yep, that was me as I listened to Rachel. All my life I thought I was lucky to have such loving adoptive parents. Boy, was I wrong. We need to tell the police.
Yes, but Jarvis, you have to know that if we call the police, Mr. Hernandez will get arrested too.
I thought about it for a minute. Did I really want that? My dad and mom had been wonderful parents, but they also stole me and my twin sister from my real mom. What would you do if you were me? Let me know in the comments. As much as I don't want to see my dad in trouble, you didn't deserve what they did to you. So yes, let's go to the police. The police arrested my dad an hour after we made a report. He was shocked to find Rachel and I at the station.
Jarvis, I'm so sorry. Your mother wanted the baby so badly.
So you stole mine? How could you do that?
Rachel was screaming in my dad's face, tears streaming down her face. A few minutes later, uniformed officers walked in, dragging a very frightened Mr. Broth. When Rachel saw him, she lunged for his neck like a tiger would.
Get this crazy woman off me!
What did you do with my other baby, you lunatic? Where is she? Lady, you need to calm down and let us do our jobs.
A lady officer told Rachel. She asked us to wait as they questioned both my dad and Mr. Broth. An hour later, she came out and gave us some shocking news. Mr. Broth had finally told them that he sold my sister too. That wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was who she really was. Diane is my twin sister, but she grew up in foster homes. Mr. Broth sold her to a foster home? The officer might as well have told me I was growing two horns.
The woman he sold her to died when Diane was a toddler. She went into foster care after that. Mr. Broth has been secretly paying for her education. Then he got her a job at the hospital. I guess he felt guilty.
I didn't know how much more I could take, so I told Rachel I was leaving the station. She asked if I could accompany her to break the news to Diane. And I said sure, why not? It was going to be one interesting family reunion. I called Diane and asked her to meet us at my house. When she arrived, we sat her down and told her everything. Rachel and Diane cried and embraced each other so many times. I too felt tears prick the back of my eyes, but I cleared my throat and pushed them away. There was no way I was going to cry in front of Diane. I'd never hear the end of it. I guess now we know why Mr. Broth choked on his coffee when he heard us talking about dating. For the first time since she walked into my house that evening, Diane laughed.
So what happens now?
Diane and I looked at Rachel.
Well, you both have had quite an eventful day. I know you need some time to process everything, so I'll go back to my home, and whatever each of you decide, I'll accept it. I'd really love to get to know you both, but that's up to you. I'm just happy to know that you're alive and well, and that Mr. Broth and Mr. Hernandez will pay for everything they did.
Dinner was quiet. Each of us deep in thought about the events of the day and what it meant. The next day, Rachel went to her home. I planned to visit her often so we could get to know each other more. A few weeks later, the case against Mr. Broth and my dad began. Diane and I got Rachel a lawyer and promised to be there for her every step of the way. After all, she was our mother.